These notes are going to be called data collection and analysis. So real quick, let me just review. So this is after you have made your hypothesis, you have planned your experiment. Now you are doing your experiment. Okay, so you're going to collect your data. So you always organize and record data in a table. Okay, it's super important. So I am going to make an example. Part of your grade for your data table is whether it is neat and labeled. And when you do an experiment, you are always going to do 3 trials. So my trials are going to go in this column. Alright, so we're going to make 3 rows. Now, you can always do more than 3 trials, but after you do your 3 trials, you want to find the average, okay? So this is going to be trial 1, trial 2, trial 3, and then you're going to find the average. So let's talk about the experiment. So let's say that I am going to have a plant, and I'm going to put it in the same location. It's all going to go in my kitchen window. Okay, same plant and same location. The only difference is I'm going to give the plants on Saturdays, I'm going to give one cup of water. I'm going to make a column for 1 cup. Okay. And then I'm going to give 1.5 cups. And then I'm going to give 2 cups of water. Same day, same plant, same location. Okay, so my independent variable is the different amounts of water. Your independent variable is going to go at the top of your data table. So if you only had 2, then you would only list the 2. If you had 4, then you would make 4 columns. Your trials are going to go here. So then I'm going to measure the plant growth over time. So then I'm going to put my data in these empty boxes. Okay, so let's say that for the first trial that the plant with 1 cup grew 5 centimeters. Okay, and then the plant with 1.5 cups grew 7 centimeters. And then the one with 2 cups grew 3 centimeters. So I'm just going to fill in with some, measurements. I'm putting in my units, okay? Everything, all my boxes are labeled. Now this data is not, real. I'm just trying to show you if you were collecting data and you had your different trials and you were taking your measurements, how you would organize it and record it in a data table. Okay, so if you were going to graph this, then technically, if you left it like this, you would need to graph all 3 trials, okay, for each one. So instead, you can find the average and you could, graph the average instead. So to find the average, you add all trials and divide by the number of trials that you added together. Okay, so literally in my calculator, I am just typing in 7 plus 9 plus 11 divided by 3. So then I'm getting my average. Okay, 3 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 3. And I'm just showing you how you would type it in the calculator. Yes, I could have done this in my head for sure, but I'm just trying to show you anytime, depending on what the numbers are, this is how you would type it into a calculator. Remember, I'm fine if you use a calculator, okay? So we have our data, it's collected, it's recorded. So that's the data collection part of the scientific method. So we're good here. But whenever you're going to go and you're going to analyze your data, you're going to look into any kind of relationships or to try to see or show which one had the most and least. You always want to put it into a graph. So analyze data equals graphing data. Okay, that's what I want you to remember. To analyze the data means you're going to graph the data. All right? So, in this case, we could do a bar graph or we could do a line graph. Okay? So, let me show you. I'm going to do a bar graph. So some things to pay attention to. I'm using a ruler to make my lines neat. That is important. Okay. I'm going to label everything. So let's just say I'm going to say average plant growth. That's my title. Okay, down here I'm going to put amount of water. Okay, so I have 1 cup. I have 1.5 cup. And I have 2 cups. Okay, now over here, I'm going to graph the average. Okay, so on my label, I'm going to put average growth. So I have my title, label, labels. I need to figure out what numbers I'm going to use. So I'm going to look at my lowest number and my highest number, and then decide what I'm going to start with. Okay, so this point is 0. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I went to 10. Oh, something else you want to do is you want to put the unit over here so you did not have to write it next to the number. Okay? So now I'm going to graph it. So the 1 cup, the average was 6. So I'm going to put my ruler so I can make a straight line because neatness is important. Okay? Now usually you can also use graph paper. That can help you, but you'd be surprised at how messy a graph can still be on graph paper. Alright, now there's no reason for me to write the number here because the line is going to 6. Okay, this is supposed to be a visual representation. So the 1.5 cup went up to 9. So I'm going to make my bar. And my 2 cups was 4. Now you should have this on your paper as an example. So everything that I wrote down, you should copy into your notebook for your notes. Okay? So I have my label, I have my data, I have all of this. The only thing that is missing is that this should be colored in. Okay? So you're going to take it and you're either going to shade it with colored pencil or highlighter or something. It needs to be colored. Okay? Shading or going like this does not count. Okay? So we want our graph to be a visual representation of the data. And it shows, okay, my pen was not a good choice for this, but it's fine. Okay? So to me, seeing a solid bar, a kind of, colored in, and a blank bar, this one looks better. Okay? So you can clearly see that the 1.5 cups helped the plant grow the most. This is your visual representation of the data. So something to remember is you always organize and record your data into a data table, and then you never skip the graph part. Okay? The next step would be to write a conclusion, and you're going to use this for your experiment, from your experiment, to write your conclusion. So don't ever skip these steps. Okay? So you collect and organize your data, and then you graph your data. So you can analyze it. This, we could see the relationship. The more amount of water that the plant got, the least it grew. Okay? The middle amount helped it grow the most. The 1.5 cups had the highest average. Those kind of things you can tell. This is your visual representation of your data. And this is the end of the notes.